Welcome back to a new video. So I was out in the shed getting this very light session done. I kind of messed around with my sets just because I was cold when I first started, or at least when I got my first top set of front squats. So I did like 2 and then 2 sets of 4 and then a set of 6. It was supposed to be a 4x4, and I kind of did that in the other exercises as well, where I combined the last set, or mostly I think it was on the presses and the pulls. I combined the last 2 sets into one larger set. It was just the first one where I did a short set at the beginning and then kind of added in the reps I didn't do at the end. So I did everything that was prescribed. The only thing I changed was the push presses. I changed those to the strict presses because I was just kind of achy and stuff, and I just didn't really want to do push presses. I think it was going to be a bunch of doubles at 100 kilos, which wouldn't have been that difficult to do, but I just was more motivated to do some pressing, which went really well. After the pressing, the pulls, it's a similar thing as the front squats. When I did the first set, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do 4 more sets. It wasn't that the weights were hard, I was just kind of like achy at that point. But thankfully, once I did the second set, then I was feeling a lot better. My body was like re-warmed up so that I was able to get through the rest of the sets and the reps just fine. But currently, I think it was in the 40s. It was probably closer to the 40 because it was later at night, or at least in the evening, which has been dark for 2 hours at that point when it's 6:37. But I was very happy to be able to get this session done and not have to go to the gym. But it was definitely like right on the edge of being able to actually do any sort of good training and just going out and maybe like doing pressing. Like if it's in the 30s or below that, if the door isn't actually is the lock, if it's not actually frozen, and I get in there, like I'm only able to really do like presses and like bodybuilding stuff. Like any sort of, I guess, hip hinge or snatches and everything are kind of off the table because it's just the bar is so cold. But it's just miserable doing like squats and deadlifts and anything else really, other than like really basic movements. So if it's below that, that's about all I'm gonna do out there. But I don't generally do a lot of those sessions, and with the AI programming, there's a lot of normal sessions, so there's not really going to be a day where it's just like presses and rows and stuff. But could potentially have a session like that if I have like an off day and I'm not going to go all the way to the gym. Could like go out there and on my winter wear and get some training done. But thankfully I was able to get this light session done, and I think, like I said, if it's below where it was today, it's definitely going to be like, all right, I just have to go to the gym and just do this light session. And it's usually, that's where I kind of struggle with the most motivation, I think, with the lighter sessions. Not to, I guess, partially to do them, but if I have to drive 30 minutes to do a light session, then I'm really not motivated to do it. It's always obviously more motivational, or motivating, I should say, to have it like a very hard, or at least like a potentially hard, or like one, like, all right, if I'm moving well, I can push up and maybe hit a good double or this or that. But when you just go out and you just know, like, well, at best it's it's front squat quadruples. Like I'm not gonna do very well at these, but it's more of a mentally difficult day. But thankfully, because the weights were pretty light for the session, it wasn't even that mentally difficult. It's more like my body was just not getting warm. And I think next time I just need to throw on my knee sleeves and spend more time just working with a bar and just physically moving, because it's not so much that I need to like warm up my legs or like the muscles. It's more of just like getting blood around the joints so they're just physically warmed up, and maybe just lighting a fire in the shed. Even though I would die from the smoke inhalation, I would certainly feel a lot better at that time. But I've considered getting some like more extensive heating out there. One of the problems I have out there is that the power that is out in the shed, which it does have power, which is already like such a step up from like just a regular shed, but it's limited as far as the voltage goes. So I can't get a really nice heater out there because it would just short circuit the shed, and it would just, the lights would turn off out there. The other alternative is getting some sort of heater that blows into the doorway, like a gas heater or something. But the problem with that is you would have to open the door to let the heat in, but then obviously the heat would then just flow back out. So it's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. But thankfully I don't have to worry about training out there full time in the winter. If I did, then I would certainly have to come up with some sort of creative solution. But thankfully I don't need to worry about that because I do have the ability to go to the gym, which means I'm just going to use more gas in the winter, which is usually actually when I do the most driving is in the winter because of that. But anywho, I've rambled on long enough. There's enough blank space at the end, and I've redone this commentary now 3 or 4 times. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up here. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Peace.